While many of us have been anxiously awaiting the upcoming new Quentin Tarantino film, The Hateful Eight, no official release date for the movie has been announced. That is, until now. The Hateful Eight will first hit a few select theaters on Christmas Day in 70mm prints. The special 70mm engagement will run for 2 weeks, and then The Hateful Eight will have a wide release in regular theatrical formats on January 8th, 2016. Mark, what do you think about the limited 2-week engagement before the wide release for The Hateful Eight?
Well, I'm of a mixed opinion about this because I live in LA, so I want to laugh at everybody else and say, oh, I'll definitely get it. But on Christmas Day, I'll probably be chilling in Williamsburg, Virginia, which isn't going to be one of the top markets to get The Hateful Eight. So I don't know when I'm going to see this movie. I think it makes sense. I think that obviously Tarantino believes in it. You roll it out early enough to where the limited release will get it Oscar consideration for this year. It's the same thing that American Sniper did. That seemed to work out pretty well this past year. So I think it makes sense from a business standpoint. Some fans are going to be upset that it's not just coming out all at the same time. But like you guys said, you might not be able to get tickets to The Force Awakens on December 18th. So maybe you got to put that one off until Christmas Day. Then you can put this one off until the middle of January.
I think you just nailed the big thing here that none of the press release addresses. I think, because this is a Weinstein Company thing too, right? This is a move just to make it qualify for that year's Oscars. That's what this move is really about. They can talk about it being for the integrity of the 70mm blah 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 2.75 to 1 aspect ratio blah blah blah. They can talk about that all they want.
You sound like the grandfather of Schnepp's nerd character.
That's right. It is the grandfather of my nerd character.
Yeah, Grandpa, tell us more about 70mm.
I heard it was shot in a 65mm. Well, who else said it was actually 70mm? And Tarantino just let's talk about the lenses.
I told you, 2.75 to 1 aspect ratio. No, they can talk about that all they want. What this is really about is we want that January 8th release date, but we want this to qualify for the Academy Awards. It's much like what they did with American Sniper, too. But, and I'll be honest with you, I am not enamored. I know there's a lot of guys with pocket protectors and pushing out their glasses right now. So I might want to talk about 70mm, but the reality is I'm actually not all that enamored with it. But the image is breathtaking. I am not a fan, though, of that 2.75 to 1 aspect ratio. I know a lot of people say it gives you so much width in the image. To me, it doesn't feel that way. It actually feels like what my dad used to complain about when widescreen TVs came out. Why are they putting the black bars on the top and the bottom? But I got to admit, I feel like at that aspect ratio, I feel it really crunches the height of the image rather than expanding the width. So I'm not that enamored with it. But I do think this is a really good move because of Oscar consideration, but also because I think what will happen with this film is what happened with American Sniper. A slow rollout at first. It built this great buzz amongst its audience and amongst its demographic. And so it's going to come out. And to me, this says that this company is very confident in this film. So they're going to let it roll out for 2 weeks on some screens, let people start talking about it online and talk about how awesome it is. And then when that January 8th date hits, it's going to crush. So while I'm not a big fan of the 70mm thing necessarily, got nothing against it, I do think this is a really smart move for some reason. Anyway, Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you that it's like have your cake and eat it too. It's like release it so that it gets that Oscar buzz so it can participate in the 2015. But I gotta say, John, blasphemy about talking about 70mm.
I know.
Once Upon a Time in the West, Lawrence of Arabia. Tarantino's such a film nerd that he's gonna use the scope that it's not just like pan and scan. I've seen films shot in 65mm and 70 that are a waste of time because they're shooting it because they know they're gonna cut off the edges.
Yeah.
You know that Tarantino's gonna take full use of that scope.
I have no doubt.
So that's all I can say.
I have no doubt about that.
I wouldn't. That's why I'm sorry that you're gonna be in Nebraska? Where are you gonna be?
Williamsburg, Virginia.
Well, you're not gonna be in Hollywood seeing this movie. But for the lucky few who get to see it in 70mm, we're gonna get to partake in that rare flavor that we just don't get that much. So that's why I'm excited about it being in 70mm. I agree with you. 70 isn't for everybody, and it can be a waste. But when it's given to someone who actually knows how to make films like Tarantino, it's a joy. So I'm excited about it.
And it does give the viewers, I'll say this word too, it gives the viewers a very unique film-going experience that you don't get to get very often, and you probably aren't going to get for much longer.
No, that's true.
So there's that advantage as well.